Shelley Wade, host of the Goodness Factor podcast. As an antidote to the drumbeat of negative news we're inundated with on a daily basis, the Goodness Factor shines the spotlight on good news and good people doing good things. Each episode starts off with the Goodness Report, then we interview a do-gooder, and we end each episode by sharing a good word with you. Hey, it's Shelley. Welcome to another episode of The Goodness Factor. Coming up on the show today, marketing executive and author Vince Hudson. He's got a book out called Date Like a Brand, which aims to help us find lasting love. And I am single, so very excited about this conversation. Also on the way, the good word, wrapping up the show and sending you off with some words of encouragement and inspiration. Let's get it all started, though, with the Goodness Report, reporting good news the world over. A few Thursdays ago, all eyes were on the NFL draft, where the Las Vegas Raiders selected quarterback Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 overall draft selection. Now, experts are projecting that Mendoza is going to rake in around $10 million in his first season. Now, he hasn't set foot on an NFL field, but he's already donating a huge chunk of his money. Yeah, he has pledged to donate around $500,000 to the National MS Society to accelerate progress toward a world free of multiple sclerosis. His mother, Elsa, has MS. And from Vegas to Traverse City, Michigan, sometimes you just got to throw competition out the window, especially when being good gets you a better win. Chef Tim Bergstrom is battling cancer, and he hasn't been able to run his restaurant Bergstrom's Burgers with the kind of care and dedication he normally would because of his battle with cancer. That's when crosstown rival Oakwood Proper Burgers went from being a rival to an actual angel. Yeah, Oakwood Proper decided to offer help by doing a fundraiser, which sold out the shop of all of its burgers and gift cards. And the fundraiser raised tens of thousands of dollars for Chef Tim. And according to MLive.com, local bakeries, brewers, and chefs all pitched in, and it turned the day into a full-blown community rally. What a blessing for Chef Tim. And finally, Mackenzie Scott just donated $70 million to Meals on Wheels. This is a major boost to help fight hunger all across the United States. And Meals on Wheels says that the gift will help expand meal delivery and social support for older adults who need it the most. Scott, the former wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, is choosing to use her wealth to spread goodness all around the world. As a matter of fact, Forbes is reporting that Scott has become one of the most prolific philanthropists in the world, donating about $26 billion so far. Now, on a personal note, I, as a product of a historically Black college and university, Texas Southern University in Houston, excellence in achievement, go Tigers! I appreciate that she's donated $70 million and counting to HBCUs and to support them. And that's the Goodness Report. Time for the Do-Gooder interview, right after we check in with my friend Levon Putney from the Real Pod Newscast.
Music. Hey, what's up, do-gooders? Sorry to interrupt, Shelley, but just wanted to introduce myself and promote my podcast.
This is the Real Pod Newscast with Levon Putney.
A chicken coop to one woman is a home to another, and that daughter had every right to defend her coop. A newscast, but full of all the other fun, wild, dumb criminal-type stories. No death and destruction, break from that, and parody ads.
Come to J-Dub's Rooftop Market for premium eggs, straight from J-Dub's Pigeon Coop.
15-ish minutes every Wednesday, and now also a couple of minutes of daily celebrity birthdays, Monday through Friday. I'm Levon Putney. Hope you'll listen and follow. Now, back to my Third Ward fam. My bad. I know do-gooders don't interrupt, so sorry for not doing good.
I want to welcome welcome to The Goodness Factor, our do-gooder of the episode. And your name is Vince Hudson. And we have to go back, we have to rewind and get, your backstory. But you do have a book out called Date Like a Brand.
Yes.
And I was extremely interested in it because I'm single and I would like to meet my husband. First my boyfriend, then my partner.
One step at a time. One step. But you meet the person who would become your husband.
Yes.
Speak it into existence.
So, Vince, let's find your story because you've worked for a lot of, talking about Date Like a Brand, you worked for a lot of huge brands and you know how to brand excellently. So let's get your backstory. You are from and what's your background business-wise?
I am from a place that most people haven't heard of, but I think you have, Shreveport, Louisiana.
I'm from Texas. We're neighbors.
Roots, yes. So from a place they call the Arklatex, which is the triangle of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas.
You know what? I've never...
Arklatex. See?
I mean, Texas and Arkansas... Texarkana, I've heard of that.
Right? Are you Houston?
I'm from Houston.
See,
yeah,
Dallas would get it. Houston, they think they own the whole.
Yeah, because Houston's way down south in the Gulf of Mexico, but Dallas is East Texas, so they would know. Say that again?
Arklatex, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas. The name brings all three together. Arklatex.
Arklatex.
Yes. So
I am today years old.
Okay, I'm off to a good start.
I hadn't heard that, I love some good trivia.
Trivia is
and
good.
So
That's a great one.
I wonder if my mom's ever heard of that.
Both of my parents are teachers. I love trivia. So I'm glad to drop a little knowledge.
Very cool. Exactly. Arklatex.
Arklatex.
I am mad at myself for just now finding that out, but you learn something new every day.
Yes.
Okay, so you're from Arklatex.
Yes, so Shreveport, Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
Went to Dillard University in New Orleans. Shout out, HBCU. I'm on the board at Dillard now. And
I'm a product of an HBCU as well, Texas Southern in Houston.
Texas Southern, yes. They call it the original TSU or the other TSU? Because Tennessee.
I'm going to say it's the original
Okay,
TSU.
the original. I'll take it. And I found myself after college going to Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, working in a field called brand management. I had no idea what that was, but I fell in love with it. It was the perfect triangle for me from what can you be passionate about, because I love figuring out problems and bringing creativity to situations. What can you be passionate about? What can you actually be good at? And what meets your economic equation? And so when you can be in the center of those three, you're in the right spot. And so I've stayed in it for over 30 years.
What can you be passionate about?
What can you be passionate about?
What you're good at.
What you're good at.
And what
meets your economic equation, i.e. what makes you enough money for your needs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've been in marketing for 30 years now. Some of the major brands you've worked for.
So I started out in Procter & Gamble, and they didn't, coming out of Dillard back in the 90s, I didn't start on the biggest brand they would have, call it Tide or Crest. I started on Fix-It Denture Adhesive.
I've heard of them.
You've heard of it?
Luckily, I don't need them just yet, but I've heard of them.
Fix It and Forget It is the name. But I really love that brand. I actually loved working in marketing on that brand. One of my best friends at the time was my roommate, and he was working on Pantene, and he had Tyra Banks was in the commercial, and so he was on yachts with Tyra filming commercials.
Were you jealous?
No, but I actually loved the job more than he did.
Oh, wow.
And I was watching old people in focus groups take out their teeth and put them down and tell us, complain about the denture adhesive. But I really just loved understanding why people did what they did and how we could help people meet their objective. Because everyone has a problem to solve. And marketing at its best helps people to solve a problem. You want your dentures to stay in better? Here's something that can help solve your problem and change your life, help you eat better food, get healthier. And that's what got me into it.
Oh, I love it. And you've worked for BET, you've worked for...
So after P&G, I went to 20 years at Procter & Gamble. So made it up to the GM VP rank. Went to Samsung. I lived in Singapore. I got married, went to Singapore with my 3-month-old daughter, had another daughter there, and then came back to New Jersey with Samsung for my third daughter, the New Jersey baby. And,
you're a girl dad?
Girl dad 3 times over. And that's who the book is dedicated to. My 3 daughters. And then went from a run of just great opportunities. I went from Samsung to Diageo, ran the Smirnoff brand, went from there to chief brand officer at BET. Went from there to had an amazing opportunity at American Express. Went from American Express to Meta. Spent 3 years there, and then lately I've taken time off there to write this book.
Such major companies and brands. You must know what you're doing, Vince.
Every assignment was every job was my favorite job in sequence, and it hadn't stopped yet.
So, which brings us back to the book, Date Like a Brand. You're a pro in branding. And the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast as a do-gooder is because you're doing the great work of educating people on how to date better, find love better, and love is goodness.
Yes, love is good. Well, we met, which wasn't too long ago. Mm-hmm. And you talked about the show, and you said it's all about the good that people do. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't been called a do-gooder until today, so thank you. I was today years old. And that hit me. My response was that I was trying to find the connection between the book and doing good. Mm-hmm. And I think you hit it, which is the greatest thing in the world. So my mom had this book that was a small red book, almost like one of those little church Bibles you can put in your pocket. And the name of the book was The Greatest Thing in the World. Mm. And so I said, who has the audacity to say they're the greatest thing in the world? So I picked the book up, and I'm now in my 20s going back and looking at the book. And the book is about love. The greatest thing in the world is love. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to do good, the question is, what's the greatest good? What is the most good you can do? Is to be the most loving. And so I think that's where love and good are working hand in hand.
So speaking of audacity, I know you said you wrote the book for your girls. You dedicated to them?
Dedicated to my 3 daughters.
Okay, so you are happily married with 3 beautiful daughters?
For 16 years
16 years?
now.
But there are a lot of
very
people
happily married.
Who are married and they are in love, but they don't have the audacity to write a book about, love and finding love and to even think that they have the knowledge to help people find love better. So what gave you the audacity to think that this could be something you were an expert at?
Great question, because it's actually for me the opposite, because I had the audacity to write the book about dating before I found my wife.
Wow! So you came up with this idea?
This book's concept came along about 25 years ago, because I was working with a lot of people at Procter & Gamble that were single, mostly women asking me questions about dating, because I was open to hear questions about dating and different guys. And so I would give them advice, but because they were marketers, I would tell them advice from a marketer standpoint. You're a marketer. You have to understand what your points of difference are and understand who your target audience is and how to get awareness and trial and repeat and relationships. And it started making sense to them. And they would come back and ask more questions, and they were applying it in life, and it was working. It was helping them to solve their problem. And so I was at the MBA conference around, I guess, the late 90s or early 2000s. And I did a presentation with a psychologist, a relationship psychologist. And it was called Relationship Marketing. Probably 40% of what's in the book, maybe 60% of what's in the book. And I presented it, and everyone loved it. And after the presentation, people came up and they said, "Wow, these concepts are really great. How long have you been married?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not married." They just walked away from me. They just said, "Huh," and just walked away. And everyone who heard I wasn't married continued to walk away.
Can't take him seriously.
Can't take him seriously. He doesn't have any kids. He doesn't have. You haven't done it yourself. So fast forward. I met my wife. Like you said, find your husband. I met the person who would become my wife at the Essence Music Festival.
Not a bad place to meet a wife.
Which I attended every year with the intention of maybe finding a wife, or at least people to get to know. And then I met my wife. We dated. Our story is the last chapter of the book. It's called My Favorite Story, but it's up and down. And we dated. We broke up for a long time. We got back together. And then so we had our daughters, lived around the world, and then I had this kind of career opportunity to write this book. And so it's all come full circle. Before the girls are really entering the dating circle or going on a first date even, I wanted to get this book out to help change the dating game and help people look at it differently.
Did you, because of the response you received from people at this convention? What did you call it? Did you call it convention?
It was a Black MBA convention. Black MBA conference.
You
Black
did say
MBA
conference.
MBA
I thought you said.
Yes,
I knew there was a C word. But because of people reacting to you not being married and walking away, did that kind of subconsciously make you feel like maybe I should wait to write this book and people will take me more seriously once I'm married?
It's a good insight, Shelley. I shelved the concept. I said, well, it's not. People won't accept it from me. So I continued to hone the ideas, continued the relationship consulting that I was doing with all the people that I knew, but I didn't put it into book form. But it was always in the back of my mind that it could be a book. And then I was on the Oprah show.
Oh, wow.
Shortly after that convention, a couple of years later, I had a friend that worked, meet Candy Carter, who you may know as well.
Yeah.
She was a producer at Oprah, so she said, Vince, we're doing this. First she said, Vince, what are you doing Wednesday? I was like, oh, I'm busy. I got so much stuff to do, big meetings. She said, well, there may be an opportunity to have you on the Oprah show to talk about relationships since you like relationships so much. I said, I'm totally free on Wednesday. So I
can clear my calendar for Oprah.
I flew out to Chicago. The book was coming out called He's Just Not That Into You. And so you may have heard of the book, He's Just Not That Into You by Greg Byrne.
Oh, of course I've heard of it. Yeah,
and it became a movie and all that. So
yeah, the Kate Hudson movie.
Yes. And so I was responding to that book. It was 13 people. It was 12 women and me responding to this book. And so they were asking, well, why do men do this and this? And so I was just giving a male point of view on the show. And at the end of the show, one of the ladies said, this is so good. I've just been, my life has changed. This book is so great. I found out that nobody was into me. And then we both kind of looked at each other like, is that the goal? So that may be a step in it, but that's not the end result. So it hit me. It's not just enough to find out what is more like clarity and transparency of who's, how to determine if a person is into you. But you need to understand what a real relationship is about. How do you find the person who is going to be into you and then build the right relationship? So I had the idea at that point, leverage everything. And I wasn't a relationship expert for 30 years. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a preacher. I've read all the books from preachers on relationships and psychologists on relationships, but I know how to solve problems because I'm a marketer. So what if I just went at the problem directly like a marketer would and said, you need to do a couple of things. One, build your brand and make it the best version of itself. That's what I do with brands, make them better than they've ever been before. Number two, find a partner brand that's compatible, right? Complementary. And then you launch a relationship, step three,
so
like a brand launches a product.
Your potential boyfriend is your partner brand.
Your partner brand.
Okay. Oh, I love
because
that.
You're going to build your brand, and I've determined there's 4 parts of your brand, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you build your brand. Find a person that's your complementary brand, not exactly like you, but what is the right fit for you. And your partner brand, together you launch a high-quality relationship. And then I have the stages of what is a high-quality relationship. How do you start it? How do you keep it? How do you track it until you get there? That's how brands solve problems and create growth. Humans can do the same thing. I did it myself with my wife.
I love it. When you were dating your wife, were you thinking of it as, you being the best brand that you could be and then you finding a complementary brand? Were you thinking that way?
I didn't have the idea honed as well at the time, but I was thinking strategically.
Okay.
And my wife, in a way, forced me to, because the first time we met, this is also in the book, last chapter of the book, the chapter is called Jennifer. My wife is Jennifer Hudson. Yes, not that Jennifer Hudson. Even though we met her and did have a joke about that. But when I met my wife, we went out for lunch. That was our first date. And I had to call her in the hotel room because we didn't have cell phones at the time, and ask to speak to Jennifer and talk, and awkwardly ask her on can you meet me here at this restaurant for a date? And so we met, had a great time, got back to her hotel, walked her up to her floor, and she said, can I ask you a question? I said, of course. She said, what are your intentions? What's your intention? I said,
on the first date?
First time I said, "What is your intention?" It was not the first time I met her, but our first real date. And so I said, "I want to get to know you better." And then so in my mind, though, I was thinking forever. If I didn't say that, because that would have been love bombing. They call it now. And so, but that was it, because my intentions were to really get to know her better. Because when you meet people, I talk about it in the book. You give everybody a score subconsciously. So you ask, was I thinking about a brand? I wasn't thinking about a brand, but we all do this. When men meet women, especially, and it works the other way too, you have an instant reaction. I definitely could marry this woman.
Okay.
I probably could marry this woman. I might or might not. I probably would not, and I definitely would not. It's a 5-point scale. And every man knows exactly pretty much where everybody he meets is on that scale. Women do the same thing. They do it slower. Men are more visual, kind of certain, so they kind of get to the point faster. But women learn more about the man before they put them on the same scale.
Interesting.
But that's the scale. So I gave my wife a definitely would marry if everything would work out. So you don't know how the relationship is, but you know she's in that pool.
Yeah.
And so she was probably giving me at the time a might or might not, maybe, but it definitely wasn't a definitely not or probably not. I at least was in the might or might not category.
Yeah.
And then I worked my way up through conversation and talking to her, and so because the best of me you're going to learn as we go. It's not going to be at the beginning. I'm not Boris Kudrow.
And I'm just realizing, by the way, that I said Kate Hudson, the movie.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, he's not that into you.
He's not that into you, yeah.
So that was, I can't remember.
Drew Barrymore was in the movie.
Yeah, and this other lady named Jennifer something, and I can't think of her name, but then also Drew's ex, Justin, was in there.
Yes. That was
Jennifer, I love her. Jennifer Aniston, wasn't she in there?
It was like an all-star cast.
Yeah. That was a really good movie. But I'd said Kate Hudson, but I don't think that's. I was thinking about that Kate Hudson, Matthew McConaughey movie, How to Lose a Guy. And
in 20 Dates or something.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking about. But I just wanted to correct that, because I'm sure if people are listening and watching, they're like, Kate Hudson wasn't in that movie.
They're on your Instagram right now saying that. But speaking of movies, Date Like a Brand could be the making of a great movie.
Would not surprise me.
Advertising is a great backdrop
Would
for love.
Not surprise me.
Boomerang.
Yeah, yes. Oh my God, that's a great example.
Happened. Exactly.
So you were saying we would get into all of the steps. Let's get into it.
So what I was talking about when you said the brand, like did I know who my brand was at the time? I didn't have it defined, but I worked a lot of years to figure out what is our brand. I can understand what a toothpaste brand is, what a cell phone brand is. What is a human brand?
Yeah.
And so I went through all the philosophy, biology, religion, just what are we, right? And on the market. So if there's a dating market, so if we're brands in a market, how do you value the brands of the market? There's 4 things that are a part of our brand. One is, if you ask somebody on a date, I'll just ask you, Shelley, the question, right? So you say, you're single, you're open to looking, right? So let's say, who's your girl? Like that gives you the one that might hook you up with somebody. Who's one of your partners?
Who would I want to hook me up? I would want one of my sisters to hook me up. Actually,
family members.
One of my
sisters.
I would want one of my sisters to, because they were my first best friends.
They know you because they're from the same
exactly.
Tree. So let's say one of your sisters came up and said, "Shelley got this guy, and I really think you should meet him." I
would trust that they were making a good decision.
And what would you ask?
What would be the first thing I would ask them?
Yeah. Because you're gonna be somewhat curious about this guy. What are some questions you would ask about the guy?
I'd probably be a little vain and ask how he looked.
Okay, 1, how he looks. Okay.
What does he do for a living?
Good question. 2.
Is he a good person? Because that's important to me.
How is he? Is he a good person?
Yeah, like what's his deal?
And your show is about good, so you literally ask, is he a good person?
Is he a good person?
Good is really in
because that's important to me. Yeah. Yeah. And there are 4 things I should...
No,
I'm just throwing things out. There's not a number.
So you said, how does he look?
That would be my first thing. Like
good person.
Why? I would want to know why they thought he was a good fit for me. That's okay. I'd be curious about that.
Okay.
But I would trust them because they know me.
They know you.
Better than most people. So I would want to know those things first. What does he do?
So you just gave 75% of what human nature defines as a brand that you would want on the market. And that's why I asked that question, because we know this inside. So picture a kind of compass, like north and west and east and south, right? The one thing that we want with people is very, let's say on the right side, that's body. How do they look, right? Now, the other side of body is attention. And you didn't mention this, but you're so smart. You have the gift of gab. You have a comedic sense. You have a very high mind ratio. So
high mind ratio?
How do they think? How do they think? You didn't ask that question, but it's important to you for a person to have a certain level of understanding, getting the jokes. Can they have a conversation, strike a conversation?
For sure.
And I know that because people...
That's important to me.
People like people who mirror them. And we talked for an hour before we started this interview, right?
Yeah.
So
conversation is important to me for sure.
Yes. So conversation, which is mind, looks is body, and there's a tension there. Sometimes people look really good, but they can't complete a sentence.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're Einstein-like, but just hard in the eyes. So that's this polar kind of polarization. Now the next one, you said what do they do? So that's on the bottom. That's resources. How do they make a living?
I think for me, it's important. And that's not I got to have someone who makes a certain amount of. But for me, it's like I am of a certain age. I am Gen X, and so it's important for me to meet someone who is established in what they're doing, and they have their own goals and
and career and aspiration.
Yes, that's important to me.
And so I took it the wrong when you said what do they do? Some people say that and they mean how much do they make. That's a covert way.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So what you really meant? You were going towards the mind.
Yeah.
So yours was kind of in between mind and resources. But the resources are reality these days. Like we have resources or the ability to get things done. It gives us freedom. It gives us choice.
Yes.
And it is important, whether we overtly say it or not, in relationships. Somebody who is going to outspend you and
what I found
under earn you is tough.
Sorry to interrupt, but what I found in my dating life, and I'm not like because I really find, especially the older I get, I don't have a lot of patience. I'm a fun person, but what do they say? I don't suffer fools.
Suffer fools.
I'm very much so. I'm like, I don't have patience for a lot of silliness, if that makes any sense.
I agree. You've lived long enough to know that's not what you want.
Silliness. So I feel like I have to take the person seriously, and so many things could go into that. But for me, I have found, especially with what I do for a living, for some reason, being on the radio and doing what I do, it seems to have been intimidating for men. I'm not sure what that's about. Because first of all, I'm not Oprah. I don't make Oprah money. But I think people automatically assume you make $1 gazillion and you probably make more than them, or you're dating all the people you're interviewing.
Okay.
Whatever. So it has to be someone who has a good sense of security in themselves and who they are. To where you're not like, because I'm busy. I do a lot of stuff. So you're not like insecure that I'm out. I work around a lot of men all the time. Yes. I'm around nothing but men, as a matter of fact.
LL Cool J licking his lips, you got a lot of temptation.
LL's a married man. He ain't paying no attention to me. But, to your point, I've dated people before where they thought, you're interviewing this person. And I'm like, LL is not interested in
So
I'm just interviewing. So the person has to be mature and secure and okay with me having my own life and not controlling. And it's so many things. But, again, especially the older I get, the more I realize I would want someone who has, their own whole thing going on, their own personal life, their own career, things they can be they can be passionate about.
Always just worried about what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
And so your situation, you're not alone, because a lot of women have told me the more they succeed, the more they think that they have separated themselves from male options because people get intimidated by their success.
Yeah.
And with someone, men have a need. And so when you talked about the men and they think you're making all this money and things, it's really about men have a need to be needed.
Yeah.
And so when you're so quick to to understand conversations and so quick to always have the answer, and
She doesn't need answers from me.
She doesn't need. I want to teach her everything. So there is that need. So that is something that is a reality to deal with. But you have to find those people who are secure with their own passions, who, as you said, can have a balance. Right. And then at some point, give them areas where they can be needed. There are areas where they can be needed. And give them those too.
Listen.
Give them a
I
list.
know a lot of areas where they're needed.
Yes.
I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. So I love to be with someone that I admire because they have courage to do something or because they have knowledge about this that I have no clue about, And
that makes that good partnership, that compatible partner. And so this what we're building here is I call it a brand value proposition. So it's a dating value proposition. So on the market, your value is going to be body, mind, resources, because that's real. And the last one is up top because you look up. It's soul.
Yeah.
And we forget that a lot. That's why I saved it for last. And so soul is the first question you ask. Are they a good person? How good are they?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So how are they? So mind, body, soul, resources. That's it.
Mind, body, soul, resources.
There's only those four. There's not a fifth one that is more important than one that we have to add a fifth. And you can't take one of those away and be sufficient value on the market. Now, it's not saying you have to be a 10 on all of them because most people on average are average on all four, right? Yeah. Mathematically. But that at least helps you understand what are your most important things you're going to solve for. So, Shelley, if you go out in the dating world, mind, body, soul, resources, where are you going to place most of your chips? There's a chip game in the book where you say, which one? Because you can't get all four. It's just a reality, right?
Which one of the four is more important to me?
Which one of the four is the first thing you'll solve for? So you're going to put your chips on that area first. What's that area? I know it's hard.
Actually, it's not because I am just one of those people. I don't even know if I'm a Sagittarian.
Sag.
And so we're
Jay-Z's
already.
A Sag. We talked about
Jay-Z
that. Okay.
and I are both Sages. I feel things very strongly, so soul probably is most important to me.
And I could write down that was going to be your answer. You ask how good the person was. You have a show that's all about goodness, right?
That's very important to me.
So you embody that. So you want that in a partner.
Yeah.
So now that's step one in identifying your strategic target, your prime prospect. When you are if people want to hook you up with somebody, you need to let them know what you're looking for is a good person.
So not just like, hey, if you meet anybody, because that's what I tell my friends.
Yes.
Hey, if you know anybody good for me.
That's like saying, hey, bring me back something to eat from the grocery store.
And not saying anything specifically.
And you don't even eat sardines. You don't even eat salmon, but they're bringing you back salmon. You know you don't eat salmon. You don't even eat seafood,
salmon, by
right?
the way, but.
Yeah, so you give a person a grocery list. So in marketing, you have to have, how are you defining your brand? And so how are you defining what you want? And so once you say, I'm looking for a person with strong soul, there's places and you can identify, when your friends are talking to somebody, this is a really good guy. He'll be good for Shelley. Now, so that is strategy.
I mean, I love that because again, I've said to my friends, hey, if you know of any great guys, but that's not saying specifically to them.
And that is so general. The great guy can come in all kind of packages.
Yes,
right?
Their definition of a great guy may be different, although you have friends and you feel like your friends mirror the things that you value, but we're all different human beings.
They're guessing. They're fishing for your recommendation for you.
So you have
in
to
a
be
broad
specific.
pool. You got to be specific. And you gave me one, which was soul. Mm-hmm. And then I go in the book, you say, well, if you have 20 chips, right, that's 5 on each one, mind, body, soul, resources. Mm-hmm. If you want to take 2 of yours and put it on soul, that means the person's going to have a significantly higher soul than most people.
Okay.
Right? But now you just took 2 chips off of something else. So the question is, where do you take the 2 chips away from?
What's the least?
Yes, you got it.
So mind,
body, soul, resources. You already put 2 more in soul. So now, where do you want to take 2 from? Because you got 20 chips. You got to make choices.
When you say body, what do you mean?
How they look and how they feel. I can go into more detail if you need me to. Feel. So
physically?
It's the physically. So the body is it's the physicality.
Mm-hmm.
It's how they look. It's your attraction. It could be your chemistry together. It could be how they make you feel physically when you're together. Mm-hmm. Right? Is it a PG show or R-rated show? How much detail you want me to go into?
I mean, it's a goodness factor. Yeah. I don't want to get, you know.
So,
but, I mean, I want you to be truthful for sure.
So that's body. So if you want them above average on body, or are you willing to take a person's average and maybe a little bit below average on body because you're going to solve for someone?
Well, I'm not perfect body-wise, so I'm not like, oh, you got to be. No, like, I will look at someone, like, I will look at a guy and I will have this fire emanating from me because I'm so attracted to him.
Yes.
But I find, like, say if I look at someone like, I don't know, Shamar Moore or someone, like, he's gorgeous, and I look at him, I'm like, but I don't want someone that's that perfect, honestly, because Because, Vince, I like to eat, and I don't want someone who's just going to be not eating, and that's all they're doing is working out. I do want you to be healthy because, it is important to be healthy. But, like, you can't go and have fun with a meal, So it's like the body is not like
lettuce and lemons all the time. Exactly.
I like to eat, and I like to go. I'm a foodie. I love to explore places, and so I don't want someone who's like, oh my God, they're meal prepping every meal.
Yes.
No hate, but
and you're saying by society standards, you don't have to solve for something. You're not solving for that as your number one. You're solving for a good person first. It's not.
Although it's important for me to be attracted to.
Attracted, yes.
And that comes in different because I have been, although I really do love a good looking guy, but I have really been involved with a person that I wasn't necessarily, I didn't think, oh my God, this guy is gorgeous. But it was something about him that I loved. Like, I loved his knowledge business-wise.
Mind.
And I loved just...
Good guy?
I admired him.
Guy?
Yeah. He wasn't as good as I would like.
Okay, yeah.
But he wasn't terrible either. But I admired him for his go-getter spirit, and it was something I looked up to.
So your top 2 are really soul and mind.
I guess
if I had to boil it down. So if you do the chips game, you'll figure it out.
Soul, mind, body.
So your bottom 2 are going to be
what's the other
resources.
Resources
and body. So it's not that you're going to have a sufficiency on those. They can't be the bottom resource and the bottom, body. But you're gonna focus more on soul and mind. So as your friends are looking, because I just came up the elevator and said the advertisement was for it was a digital agency, and they were saying, how do consumers make choices in what they want? And the number 1 was search online, and number 2 was referral by a friend.
So true.
It's the same with dating.
So true.
Because number 1 is online dating.
Yeah.
And number 2 is referral by a friend.
Yeah.
And so when you're online dating or referral of a friend, you know now what you're looking for. People who have a sophistication of mind. They know they have a passion. They have something they're really into and good at. You admire that. And they're a good person.
Yeah.
Right. And then not to, like, a guy who is a 7 and 8 on looks and stuff. That is not going to probably come in the same package as the person who has mind and soul. It just doesn't work that way.
There are some rare guys that are amazing looking, and they're also good people. It's very rare.
Yes, they are. and the tensions are more like...
But they're mostly already taken, sadly enough.
Taken. and importantly, at the end of the day, and I tell people, the person has to pass the test of having the intention of being in a focused, committed relationship with you. So you can have a model, and people can have, chips all over the place and really high on the market, but they have to want a relationship with you. That's the screener.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So you find out what's most important, and then you figure out what are your best assets, and that's what you project on your brand to the world. And people who are looking for those aspects will find you because that's what you're projecting.
Okay.
So that's the first 2 steps: build your brand What's your out of mind, body, soul, resources? Keep building all of them every year. What are you doing for your mind, body, soul, resources? If you're in a relationship or not, this is just about you building your brand, and then finding that partner brand who has compatible, complementary mind, body, soul, resources. Together, you launch a relationship.
Okay. I love it. So you give us all the steps, step by step, in Date Like a Brand.
Step by step. How to build your brand, find that partner, and then even the steps of a relationship. So there's a discovery phase. Just like marketers launch products, most products that marketers launch, how many do you think succeed? What percent of products that launch on the market into grocery stores or Target, Walmart? How many do you think succeed, hit their objectives? What percent?
I would say less than 50%, right?
17.
17?
So about
under 20?
Under 20% of the new products that are launched, and at least in consumer packaged goods, actually hit their objectives. Year one, right? And that's year one, not let alone year 5, right? And so when you're dealing with those type odds, it's the same as in dating. If you date 10 guys, right, maybe 1 or 2 will be if you're on a first date with 10 guys, 1 or 2 will be a year-long relationship. If you think about it, that's about right.
Okay.
If you date of all the 10 dates that you've been on, first dates, only probably 1 or 2 have actually lasted into a year or 2 long relationship. Same odds. So that means you have to get more people in the discovery phase.
It's a numbers game.
And screen them out quickly, but nicely, respectfully, to get to the next phase, which is what you want when you're going to understand their concept a little bit more, dive into their mind, body, soul, resources. And then there's something else that's a qualifier for a good relationship. It's not 4 things, it's only 3 things. A good relationship only has 3 things, right? In every relationship you've been in, every relationship everyone has been in, entered through one of these 3 things, because it was really good on one of these 3 things, and the relationship failed because they failed to get sufficiency on one of these 3 things. You ready for them?
Yes.
All right. Passion, attraction. So that's 1. Passion, attraction. We talked that before. Friendship, intimacy. So friendship and it's friendship.
By the way, we haven't been holding this up in the camera enough.
Everything's in the book.
Date like a brand.
All right. We'll have to superimpose it in the background.
Okay, so as you were.
So passion, attraction is one corner. Another one is friendship is another one. And the other one is decision. So I call it PDF. Passion, decision, friendship, like an Adobe PDF file. So you have to have all 3 sufficiently, but one is going to be the primary one, right? But
so you have to have all 3 to have
a
successful
solid,
relationship.
high quality relationship.
Oh, wow.
This is it's a book, the psychologist called Sternberg. He came up with this model, the triangular theory of love. And so I've kind of simplified it down to PDF, passion, decision, friendship.
Okay.
So if you just have passion and friendship, but no decision commitment, that's a friend with benefits.
Yeah.
Right? You just have, you're passionate, you hang out as a friend, but it's not going anywhere.
Okay.
I lived in Singapore. I was in India a lot. There's a lot of arranged marriages, and they said there's arranged marriages and love marriages. Arranged marriages are a decision. This is the person we'd like you to be with. We've decided as a family that this would be a good person for you to be committed to. And then you figure out your passion and your friendship, right? So every relationship starts through one of the 3, passion, decision, or friendship. But you have to get all 3 checked off. And you might be in a different spot. Like my passion might be higher for my wife when we first met, and she may have been higher on probably friendship with me. But I had to get to a certain level of passion. She had to check off a certain level of passion with me and us together on decision for us to really get into a solid relationship. So that's how you measure your relationship. And so if you know that it's a person that you just won't ever, they're not giving you a decision, like they're just not ready to settle down and be committed to you, move on.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. If you don't have the minimum level of passion and attraction for them, it's not going to get better. So friendship, intimacy, if all you do is, they'd be a good person and they look good, but you don't relate to each other, probably not going to last long. Life is really hard to have somebody you're not friends with, compatible, able to talk to. So you need sufficiency in all 3. And now we have a blueprint for what the relationship looks like.
Yeah.
Marketing and strategy is all about having the framework for you to fill in with real life.
I love this. So is there anything that we haven't covered that people need to know on the podcast?
Well, I think when we originally talked, we talked about goodness and we talked about love. And I think that the book is about dating. It's Date Like a Brand. That's a clever title, but the intent of it, if I really jump back, if you get into the midway through the book, it really talks about the way to build your brand. Like the world needs more love. Love is in need of love today, to quote Stevie Wonder, since we're in a music studio. And the way that I think that people can be at their best when they can find a partner to be with. You can be by yourself and still grow. The good news is you can be by yourself and still grow mind, body, soul, and resources, and find love. And love for another person is one type of love, but there's also love with God and a spiritual source. So the book's about if everyone's put on this life in a predicament, and they have to learn to love themselves, feed themselves, mind, body, soul, resources, and they love themselves. And then they learn to love God, and then if they do that right, then they can love another person who's also learned to love themselves and love God. Yeah. And you can get together, love each other, and then bring some other person into the world who also starts it all over again. So this is really about this cycle of life that we can potentially get into. But at the end of the day, I define love in the book as 4 things. It's always 3 or 4 things, right? So love is knowledge, care, respect, and responsibility. So we're put on this earth to be good. Since this is a goodness show, it's about us learning to love ourselves, know ourselves, care for ourselves, respect ourselves, be responsible for ourselves, love the spiritual source, know them, care for them, respect that spiritual source, and be responsible for that connection, and then do the same for other people. Yeah. So whether you're your own brand or you find a partner brand, the book is just about love.
I love, the way you break everything down. I love that it doesn't have any kind of, how do I want to put it? Because sometimes
judgment?
I will. Did you say judgment? Yeah. Well, sometimes I will say, oh my God, it's just so much harder, because when you're younger, you are more open to exploring, certain things or certain kinds of people. But, when you start, getting older and you understand, the things you like more and the things you will tolerate and accept
and
more.
And not tolerate. Yeah.
So I think, it might be difficult for me to find my guy, but I love that you're not like putting it, you're not saying, oh, well, it might be hard for you, it's just like, hey, if this person meets this,
It sets out a framework, but the framework is all about you and your growth. And so because the first part is about growing your brand, it's about optimize the best version of yourself, mind, body, soul, and resources. And so with that in mind, you can't lose, because you're going to be growing yourself. And if you find that partner, you're going to be strategic about finding that partner, then you can be the best version of yourself by yourself, or you can be the best version of yourself with someone else. But either way, you're the best version of yourself. And you have a connection to the source, which is kind of job one on earth.
Yeah.
Right? People say that the most important decision that you make in life is the partner that you be with. I think that's the second most important decision. The first, because that's who you walk the path of life with. The second most important decision. The first most important decision is which path of life you walk.
Yeah.
So first focus on that. And then there's this other partner potential, but the book leaves room for both.
All right, guys. Vince Hudson, Date Like a Brand.
In hardcover, paperback, audio.
Oh yeah, I have hardcover.
Audio
You have
and
paperback.
audio and ebook.
Did you do
book.
the audio?
I did the audio. I had my mic. I was in the booth 4 days in. I did the audio myself. Dr. Brenda Wade, excellent psychologist, did the voiceover.
No relation.
She's out of California. That's right. You should meet Dr.
Brenda Wade. What does she do?
She's been on Oprah and different shows before. She's a psychologist, and she's just a mental health expert around uncovering generational drama and cycles
Yeah.
and turning it around, but she's just one of the best minds
Yeah.
out there in the world of relationships.
Yeah,
she wrote the preface for my book.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So I was asking if you voiced it yourself because I'm a voiceover artist.
Well, look
And
at your
I was-
voice. I mean, your voice. I wish I had your voice is made for
And I was
radio.
like, oh, did Vince voice his own book?
I did voices.
How
so
was
I'm
that?
on
Was
there.
that your first time doing voiceover?
That
And
was
how
my-
was the experience?
As a marketer, I've hired a lot of voiceovers
Yeah.
and made a lot of commercials, but that was my first time being behind the mic. And I really liked it. It felt natural because it's my voice.
So
These
it
are my
wasn't
words,
difficult for
my
you.
words, and I just had to read them out loud. And
Oh, I
had a
love it.
Expert editor there, and she did my preface. She voiced it herself, and she knows my wife. She met us. She kind of was there, and we got back together and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it was really meaningful to have it on audio.
I love that because a lot of people are very intimidated to read things, and
It's tough.
especially when you're
A lot of
reading.
time,
You have to have like a certain knowledge of like reading ahead, so you're not sounding like you're reading.
Yes, yes. And in your own voice. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because you can sound like you're reading, but if you have enough experience, you know how to read ahead, so it sounds more natural.
Sounds natural.
I love that you love the
Oh,
experience.
yeah, it was good. It was really good. Yeah. So you're
Love
doing it
it.
all the time. It was my first time, but I could get used to it. I'll do it. We'll do another book one day.
Very cool. Well, Vince, thank you for stopping by The Goodness Factor and sharing this knowledge about dating and helping us find love. I'm gonna have to embark on seeing if this works for me.
Hey, well, follow
And
on
keep you posted.
Follow on Instagram. It's not just the book; it's a movement. I have an app that's coming out as well that will have my mind in an AI app that will let people ask questions and follow along with the principles in the book, but right there in their phone on their mobile.
So where should they follow you on social?
So it's Date Like a Brand on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Date Like a Brand.
Yes.
Vince Hudson, guys. Thanks for stopping by The Goodness Factor.
All right, great to be here. And available, of course, on Amazon.
And that's the do-gooder interview. Time for the good word. Since this is the first episode of the podcast of May, I thought I'd remind you that April showers bring May flowers. And just as flowers don't bloom all at once, your progress at any goal you're working to achieve does not have to be instant. As long as you make your moves consistently, you are well on your way. Trust the time and give yourself some grace. And that's the good word as we wrap up another episode of The Goodness Factor with yours truly, Shelley Wade. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please do also make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, subscribe to the audio version of the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, so you're notified when we drop new episodes on Tuesdays. Also, follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram at The Goodness Factor and on Facebook at The Goodness Factor with Shelley Wade. And finally, interact with us on social media, on the podcast, comment, rate, so that new people find the podcast. And please do spread the word to anyone you know who you think needs good news in their life, that the Goodness Factor is out here reporting good news and shining the spotlight on good people doing good things. I will leave you with the quote my mom shared with me. Kindness is difficult to give away because it keeps coming back. I love you, and I'll talk to you next episode. Mwah.